Hello, my friends, and welcome to Genealogy Gems podcast episode number 275. I love a good to-do list. I love the satisfaction of being able to check things off, and most importantly, if you have a really good checklist, you'll make sure that you have covered all your bases, that there isn't something that you're going to find out later, oh my gosh, I should have been doing this. Well, what I have for you today is my genealogy restart checklist. This is the list that you're going to need to be able to jump back into your genealogy research. And it's going to cover things that you might not have thought of before, a few things that you have, but we're going to go back and check and make sure you're in a good spot. But most importantly, it's actually going to help you figure out what you're going to research next. When we return to our research after a hiatus, we have this kind of neat opportunity to maybe change direction or go back and refill information that we weren't able to get the first time around. And so it's kind of a fresh start. And that's what this checklist is going to give you. You can get my comprehensive downloadable genealogy restart checklist over at the Genealogy Gems website. If you are over at genealogygems.com, click Learn in the menu and follow your way to this episode, the Genealogy Restart. And you'll find the link on the show notes page. And that's the beauty of the show notes page, is that we put everything together for you in writing as well. So you don't have to take notes, but you can also head back to our website then and review the notes, read through it. You know, we all learn different ways. And of course, our premium members have a downloadable handout of the show notes as well. So let's start off talking about how you're going to figure out where you left off. And then that will help you make the decision as to what you're going to tackle next. And then we will wrap things up with some kind of must-haves. A really important list of things that if you're not doing these things, you need to be doing these things. And this is the best time to put them into place because we are restarting. So the first step is to figure out where you left off. And one of the ways you can do that is by taking a look at the genealogy websites that you use the most. Now, you might be, like millions of other people, an Ancestry user, so I want to use that as an example. But there are other genealogy websites out there, ones that let you host your family tree, that have the genealogy records. Maybe they work with your DNA results. That's great. I want to show you in Ancestry how you can figure out where you left off the last time you were researching. That's going to help you decide if that's a place you want to pick back up. Or after that, we are going to take a quick look at your family tree and see if maybe there's actually a better place to start. So let's head over to Ancestry. Okay, over here at Ancestry.com, you come to the home page. And if it's been a while since you've actually been over here, you may notice a lot of new stuff. They have lots of different prompts for you, things for you to dig into and check out. And it can actually be kind of overwhelming. If it's been a while since you've done your research, you look at all this and you're like, oh my gosh, now I'm really not sure where I need to start. It's fun if you've been into it on a regular basis because you can jump into things and kind of know where you're at. But homepage may not be the best place to start if it's been a while. What I would recommend you do is check out where did you leave off. And that can be done very easily here at Ancestry. We can go back and look at our search history. So in the menu, under Search, we're going to go to All Collections. Now, the All Collections page is really handy. It's got a search field at the top. It's got all kinds of different links along the side. There's a map at the bottom. Wedged between the search field and the map below is this little kind of subtle section called Your Recent Searches. And here you can see little buttons they've created, and they've added the items, the names of the people that you searched for most recently. Now that's handy, but there's even a better way to look at this. I want to get a full view of all my searching history. So we're going to click on the button that says View All. And by doing that, we're going to be able to really get a comprehensive overview of where we left off. Now, on the recent activity page, it's going to take you specifically to your most recent searches. So these are things that you have searched for in the past, and they're in date order. So you'll find the most recent search at the very top, and then they'll go back in by date. So that can be very handy, particularly if you're looking for a specific search that you did at a specific time. In our case, we're trying to get an overview of what did we do last? What was the last kind of research project we were working on? So this is helpful, but what I would recommend is that we actually change from recent searches view and we click on all recent, because all recent is going to combine all the various views of past history in one screen. And that's really helpful. So this screen of recent activity is including the viewed content. So these were records that we looked at the last time we were over here at Ancestry. It's also going to include the recent searches, like we saw the name searches with some of the details like location and time frame. And it's also going to include the collections that we viewed. So where did those records come from? They came from particular record sets or collections here at Ancestry. That could be very helpful because oftentimes, we look at a record and we don't get an opportunity to finish really exhausting all the things in that collection. Here's viewed content. So again, we mentioned that this is a list of the records that you looked at the last time you were at Ancestry. And not everything here was necessarily something that you decided to use or that you thought was actually the right person. If you have items in this list and you go, oh, I know that was not actually my ancestor, I don't need that, you can certainly click the action button, the trash can, and that will delete that item from the list. So it wouldn't hurt to come back and look at this every so often if you're trying to keep a nice breadcrumb trail of what you've been doing over at Ancestry. You can click this delete button, click delete, and get rid of the stuff that you don't want. So again, starting with the most recent, these were the records you looked at. Here again, on the left-hand side, we can click recent searches. This is the list of all the searches that we did. So you can see that I was working on the Earl family, and I was trying lots of different family members, trying to work on identifying where they were in the 1950 census and more records. So that's helpful, but there might be some in here I don't need. I can certainly delete those. And then we can head over to viewed collections. And that is the list of the collections from which the records came from that we explored. And so this is really nice because this may trigger you right off the bat to go, oh, I know I didn't finish there. I want to go back and pick that up again and do more research in that collection. So it may be a great prompt to kind of restart from that spot. So coming into your search history can absolutely help you figure out where you left off, and then you can decide whether that's where you want to pick up again. We're going to come right back to restarting your genealogy, but first, I want to tell you about a couple of our terrific sponsors that make this free podcast possible. Today's episode is sponsored by MyHeritage, a global discovery platform enjoyed by 110 million people worldwide. MyHeritage has it all and offers a full-service experience that bridges your past, present, and future. The MyHeritage DNA Kit reveals your ethnic origins and finds your new relatives based on shared DNA. It's popular all over the world, and their constantly growing DNA database means that more matches to new relatives are just around the corner. You'll receive a percentage breakdown of your ethnic origins from 42 supported regions and weekly email updates as new DNA matches are found. It's also the leading DNA service for anyone with European origins. Make the most of your DNA results with a MyHeritage subscription and access advanced tools for genetic genealogy, like the theory of family relativity, autoclusters, shared ancestral places, and much more. Order your kit today at myheritage.com/DNA. Already taken a DNA test with another service? Upload your DNA data to MyHeritage for free to receive DNA matches and access new discoveries. That's myheritage.com/DNA. Are you in search of a free facility to help you take your family history research to the next level? Well, consider planning a trip to one of my favorite places, the Genealogy Center at Allen County Public Library. It's located in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and the Genealogy Center is the second largest center in the nation for genealogy and one of the best places to research family histories due to its really extensive collection and services. The Genealogy Center has more than 1 million physical items, and they've got trained genealogists who work there who all have unique specialties, and they're available to help you find success for free. Use the services and materials at the Genealogy Center in Fort Wayne, Indiana to take your family history research to that next level. Plan your trip or book an appointment at visitfortwayne.com/genealogy. That's visitfortwayne.com/genealogy. So we found your search history. That may have been enough to be able to know where you want to pick up and keep going. But perhaps you look at that and realize, I kind of finished that up. What am I going to do next? It's a dilemma we all face. And I think one of the best ways to answer that question is to go back and revisit your family tree. Now, again, hopefully you are keeping your full master family tree in your own software on your computer, because that way it's under your control. If you only do it online on an online tree, you can go check that out. You can certainly pull up your ancestry tree or MyHeritage tree. But either way, what I would recommend is that you go back into your tree and do it the old-fashioned way, genealogically speaking. Start with yourself. Look at your own record. Move yourself back through time. Now, many people are strictly kind of focused on their direct ancestors. Grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. Certainly, we pick up other people along the way, the family members, right? And those can be very valuable with our cluster research. But if you are getting a chance to kind of restart, it might be really nice to go down that direct ancestor line, starting with yourself, and look for gaps. Gaps are the places where you've got opportunities to do some filling in and to get some more information, which may actually make it much easier as you get further back to answer the questions you're trying to answer. So in restarting your research, I think going back in and taking this opportunity before you dig into some other project is fill in the gaps on your direct ancestors where you can. Identify those and create a research plan. So no matter what you do, whether you're going to go back into what you were doing before or you are going to start fresh on some other, important project to you, or whether you want to work on the filling in the gaps, working your way backwards in time, a research plan is going to help you tremendously. Because as you can see, even though we can find our search history and what we've looked at before online, and we can do the same in our software, a research plan is really going to tell you what the big picture was, what you were working on, what you covered, what you didn't cover, the discoveries you made, things that it turned out were not correct, so you don't repeat that. A research plan makes such a difference. I'm going to have a link to give you some videos and articles I've done that are going to help you in developing a research plan. It may sound like something that only professional genealogists do, but that's not the case. It makes such a difference, and it can be as simple as you want it to be. So don't worry about thinking it has to be complicated. That research plan is just going to guide you along the way, hopefully much more quickly to success. It's also going to give you a reference point so that you can pick up and put down your research as life allows. Now, I mentioned that you can also look up your search history in your software. I use RootsMagic. There are several of them out there. Finding your search history is really easy here in RootsMagic. We are looking under the menu, under search. And through the list here, there's history. And notice that it shows up over here in the left-hand sidebar, so you can see the people that I clicked on and worked on the last time I opened up the program. Now, normally when I open up RootsMagic, I'm in this index mode. So here's another quick and easy way to get your search history. You can see there's tabs along the top here. There's family, bookmarks, and history. So I just click history and I can see it there. And if I double click that person, it's going to take me to them in my tree, and then I can go back in and look at my notes and see what I was doing. So it's really easy. And if you have any trouble in your own software program, if you don't happen to be using Roots Magic, just look for their help section in the menu. You can click on typically contents or learning center, support center, that kind of thing, and do a quick search on history. Should tell you exactly what you need to do. All right, so now you know what you were doing the last time that you were doing your research, and you know where you want to start. But there's a few more things on our checklist to make sure that as you go forward, you are as successful as possible. So let's jump into those. Our first setup for success is to make sure that indeed you do have your own genealogy software program. Now, we can absolutely put our family trees online on whichever website we're using. Perhaps you have a subscription to a genealogy records website like MyHeritage or Ancestry or Find My Past, but it can be really helpful to have your tree there as well online. The challenge is that websites come and go. And in fact, our subscriptions sometimes come and go, don't they? They might expire, we might not be able to afford it right now, or we might have to take another hiatus. So it's really important to have our entire tree, what I call our master family tree, on our computer where we can get to it at any time. And so you need a software program to do that. Now, I showed you that I use Roots Magic. There are other ones out there that are great who've been out there for a long time, like Legacy, Family Tree Maker, Reunion. But whatever you do, just make sure that you're doing this on your own computer. All of the programs I just mentioned, they've been around a long time. They're very well liked. A lot of it really comes down to your preference. Do you like the user interface? Do you like the way the software program functions? That's really important. Also, I think how and if you want to synchronize your tree online with one of these genealogy websites, that can make a difference. Make sure that the program that you pick synchronizes with the website that you want to use. That's really key. And if you don't want to spend any money on this because you've already spent money on a subscription, I would recommend Family Tree Builder by MyHeritage. Now, that's absolutely free. I'm going to have a link on the show notes page and in the video description where you can go and download that for free. It's really an important step to take. And MyHeritage is a great site as well, so it makes it super easy to synchronize with MyHeritage. But you don't have to. You can use this on your computer, and that's the next item on your checklist. Now, our next item is one that's critical because what's the point of doing your research if you're going to potentially lose what you find? So you need a cloud backup on your computer. Absolutely essential. If by chance your computer broke, got stolen, was damaged in some way, ends up in the shop for a month, you don't want to be without your data and your genealogy files. So you need a cloud backup. The one that I use is Backblaze. I've been using them for years, and it's a terrific service. There are a couple other ones out there. You can certainly do your own homework on that. So again, I'll have a link in the show notes, and that makes your next item cloud backup. Make sure you're protecting all that wonderful research that you're working so hard on. Okay, so you've got your genealogy software. You've got your computer backed up to the cloud. Let's go check and make sure that you know what the status is of your genealogy subscriptions. So we mentioned these big genealogy websites that offer year-long subscriptions or monthly subscriptions, or maybe you were just paying per item. But if there are some that you're anxious to get back into, or that you had your online tree on and you want to get access to all the records as well again, go check those subscriptions. Go check on Ancestry, MyHeritage, wherever it was that you were working, and look for your account information. They will tell you what the current status is, whether it's active or it's expired. Also, check your renewal date. If you have multiple website subscriptions and a limited amount of time to jump back into your research, you're going to want to jump back into the one that is going to expire first, particularly if you don't have plans to renew. So that's your next item. Go check on the status of the subscriptions that you currently or in the past had. Stay right there because I've got even more ideas for you for helping you restart your genealogy right after this. Today's episode is sponsored by newspapers.com. Break down your genealogy brick walls with a subscription to the largest online newspaper archive. Did your ancestors disappear from the vital records? Did it seem like it? Maybe they moved or they got married. Newspapers.com can help you find them and tell their stories. Or have you ever had trouble figuring out how people tie into your family tree? Newspapers are filled with birth notices, marriage announcements, and obituaries. Items like these are a great resource for determining family relationships. On newspapers.com, you can explore more than 800 million newspaper pages from across the US, UK, Canada, and beyond in just seconds. Their easy-to-use search feature lets you filter your results by date, location, a specific paper, and more. When you find something interesting, the newspapers.com clipping tool makes it a snap to share it with family and friends, and you can save it directly to your ancestry tree. For listeners of this podcast, newspapers.com is offering new subscribers 20% off a Publisher Extra subscription so that you can start exploring today. I've been using it and I have been truly thrilled with the results. Just use the coupon code Genealogy Gems, altogether one word, Genealogy Gems, at checkout for 20% off a Publisher Extra subscription at newspapers.com. That's coupon code Genealogy Gems. Okay, now it's inevitable that somewhere along the way you're going to generate some paper as you jump back into your genealogy research. We don't typically generate as much as we used to, and we download a lot of stuff digitally, but one way or another, you're going to end up with some paper. So this is a really good time to check and see if you have a system in place to manage your paper. Again, it's not fun to jump back in only to realize that you're creating mass confusion and clutter on your desk. So you need to select the paper organization process that you're going to be following and make sure you've got the supplies you need so that you can keep it up. That's the key. Pick one and stick with it. I have a couple of video classes and handouts and things, resources for you on my paper organization, and I will have that in the show notes. So that's the next item on your checklist, which leads us to the next item, which is your digital organization. And that you're going to have a lot of. These days, mostly what we're doing is it seems like we're downloading so many digital files from all of these fabulous genealogy websites that are out there. And it isn't just the big websites. There could be all kinds of small websites specific to a county where you're researching, or maybe you're at the Library of Congress or you're at the Internet Archive. So many wonderful resources. You're going to end up with a lot of digital files. So why is it important to download them? Because you may not have access next week or next year. That could be because you have to let your subscription to a website lapse, or the website closes, goes down, gets sold to somebody else. There's a lot of different reasons. And down the road, it's nice to be able to review the files that you looked at, the records that you had, but two, you might end up running into some challenges, some problems, maybe somebody questioning a conclusion that you came to in your tree, and you're going to need to be able to go back and look at that record. And the way to do that is to have a copy of it on your computer. Again, it's why it was so important to get the cloud backup, right? So get a digital file organization process that you're going to follow. I think it's worth taking the time, if you haven't been very proactive about this, to really set up folders on your computer system so you'll know exactly where to put things. Also, to decide ahead of time how you're going to name your files. File naming, again, is one of those things that can get out of control. I have a process definitely that I follow. I will share links for you again in our show notes and our description here for those video classes. But the most important thing is that you make a decision and you stick with it. And the final item on our checklist, the thing that's just really critical to do at this point before you take the next leap back into your genealogy research, is to do a little brush up on source citation. Is that a foreign idea to you, source citation? If it is, then you need to get really up to speed because you need to do source citation going forward. What we're talking about is, you're finding records all over the place, whether it's online, it's in person at the library or an archive. And if we don't set our source citations in place, we won't be able to figure out what we did later down the road and be able to refer back to it, be able to find those records again. So citing your sources is key. You can go do a Google search on citing your sources. I would add the word genealogy to it. I have a video I'm going to link to that's free, that's here on the Genealogy Gems YouTube channel, all about source citation from an expert, a professional genealogist who I brought on the show to talk about this because it's so important. And if by chance you've been kind of wishy-washy about your source citation, maybe you do it, maybe you don't, maybe you change up how you're doing it, it's a really good idea to brush up on it. And again, make a decision about the format that you're going to use and be consistent. And in your software program, they probably have a help section that tells you specifically how to use their source citation tool. So in Roots Magic, I would go up to the help menu and do a quick search on source citation. And the first item is a wonderful little help tutorial to make sure that I know how to do it properly in my software so that I have a wonderful collection of source citations to pull from for years to come. So there you have it. Whether you just needed to kind of go back and do a quick audit on what you've been doing already, or whether you've been on hiatus, whether for a few weeks, months, or years, there's nothing that should stop you from getting back into the hobby that you love, which is family history. And there's so much to discover. I think every day we get up, there is something new online, some new record collection that's been released, and there's something new to find about your family history. And of course, your family's history is your history as well. And there's so much to learn, so much connection to be made. If you want to learn more about how to do terrific family history research, Genealogy Gems is here to help. We try to bring you the best of the best. Check out genealogygems.com. Over there on the homepage, you're going to find a link, a little button that you can click to join our newsletter, which comes out weekly. Lets you know about our audio podcast, the videos at the Genealogy Gems YouTube channel, our premium membership, classes and content and downloadable handouts. Those are all designed to help you be as successful as possible. Thank you so much, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.